Could cheating the death zone destroy Mount Everest? With about 1 in 34 climbers dying after reaching the summit, many welcome new technology to ease the risks and speed up the trek. But are xenon gas and hypoxic tents the answer, or an invitation to lead too many inexperienced climbers to the top? I'm Andrea Sankey, and today's Newsmaker is Mount Everest. The thought of scaling the world's highest mountain can inspire people as much as induce total fear. The cost alone can run up to $70,000 per person and usually takes about 2 months. But a few weeks ago, Austrian-based Furtenbach Adventures led an expedition that summited in just 4 days, using what the World Anti-Doping Agency considers a performance-enhancing gas called Xenon. The feat of 4 British climbers and an American-Ukrainian shocked the global climbing community and left Sherpas and others asking whether it's fair and if it's ultimately good for Mount Everest. Here's a look.
It took just 7 days to leave their home, go to Nepal, touch the root of the world, and return. 4 British Special Forces veterans shocked the world with their high-speed Mount Everest ascent in May. Their secret was xenon gas. It is an anesthetic that has been banned in sports by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Organisers say it helps climbers to quickly acclimatise to high altitudes and reduces other health risks. Yet, the full effect of xenon is not known. To put the group's journey in perspective, the climb to Everest's summit usually takes around 2 months. Low oxygen has the potential to cause life-threatening conditions. Climbers spend weeks in a sequence of base camps to allow their bodies to become acclimatized to the cold temperatures and thin atmosphere. Xenon fast-tracked that process, helping the climbers to reach the peak in blisteringly short times. Yet, the fast ascent to the summit has stirred debate. Mountaineering is not an internationally regulated sport. Himal Gautam, director of Nepal's tourism department, has said that using the gas is against climbing ethics. He was also worried that short expeditions would hurt the country's economy, as the climbers would spend less time in the mountains. And the International Federation highlighted the health risks of using xenon.
Xenon is an anesthetic gas and thus a medicine, with corresponding adverse effects and health risks, meaning in an unmonitored setting this could be impaired brain function, respiratory compromise, and even death. One study showed significant sedation in people using it at doses recommended for mountaineering. Even slight sedation is detrimental in the potentially dangerous setting of high-altitude mountaineering.
Some are also saying that the new method could falsely encourage amateur climbers to make reckless decisions to go on the dangerous expeditions, which could lead to more risks and more deaths. Mount Everest is already overcrowded. Even in the so-called death zone, the area near the summit where oxygen is critically low, it has queues of climbers waiting to make their final efforts to reach the top. And overcrowding brings pollution. The mountain is full of trash that the climbers leave behind. The organisers of the Fast Summit say their method could also help to reduce the expedition's negative impact on the environment, as a short stay in the mountain would create less waste and have fewer human effects on the ecosystem. Yet climate activists say that reducing the number of visitors and concrete government action are needed to save the region. Currently, Nepal issues 400 permits annually for $11,000. The Nepalese government is even proposing a law that would only permit people who have prior experience climbing at altitudes in Nepal above 7,000 meters from going to Everest. The use of xenon aims to make one of the world's most prestigious adventures more accessible and relatively easier. But with all the risks, ethical concerns, and environmental problems concerning the expedition, can the new technology make that happen? Or will it bring more tragedies and trouble in the human quest to conquer Everest?
So are expedited expeditions good for Mount Everest, or further commercializing a dangerous business that should be better regulated? Well, joining me now to debate that and more are from Innsbruck, Austria, the founder of Furtenbach Adventures, Lucas Furtenbach, and from Kathmandu, founder and editor of the news portal EverestChronicle.com, Devon Rai. Thanks all so much for being with me. Lucas, I'll begin with you, since it was your expedition that made these headlines, I mean, even history, I guess, by employing xenon gas. So, from 4 weeks, give or take, to 4 days, tell us what you think this super fast summiting, if you think it's good for Mount Everest, why it's good for Mount Everest, and why it's good for the wider climbing community.
I don't think that it is important that in future we all summit Mount Everest in 4 days or in 7 days in a round trip. But I think it was important to get the attention to show what this new form of acclimatization and also protection from the effects of high altitude can do. It is not only about accelerate or shorten the climb, it is mainly using xenon as an additional form of acclimatizing the body, is mainly about protecting the body from the most extreme and most dangerous effects of high altitude, and that is HAPE or haze. Both of them is deadly. And if a medical treatment has the potential to protect the body, and make the climb safer and helps to reduce the number of fatalities on Mount Everest, I think it is at least to say we have to look at this if this can be a fundamental part of climbing Mount Everest in the future.
Okay. I mean, the feat of the 4 British climbers, though, that went up with you, I mean, summiting in under a week, you've kind of said that that's proof enough for you, at least, that xenon gas actually works. But there are a lot of others saying that there's just not enough research and science out there to say that it's actually what works. And then at the end, you're putting people's lives in danger because xenon could kill someone because not enough is known about how it really affects the body.
Yeah, I think this is one of the big misunderstandings that is circling around about this, the use of xenon with climbing. To put it straight here, medical xenon is used for anesthesia in Europe, in the US, in different parts of the world for more than 75 years. And there are countless of research studies on the effects of xenon on the human body. Xenon is safe. It has a medical certification for anesthesia. So if there would be anything dangerous about xenon, it couldn't be used in a German clinic. There's nothing illegal about it. And all the side effects that xenon has are beneficial for the human body. It lowers the pressure in your lungs. It is cardioprotective. It is cell protective. It is neuroprotective. And this is all well known and well researched from different medical research studies in different fields. It is true that there has never is not true, that there are very few studies that looked at the effects in mountaineering, but the effects on xenon on the human body, these are well researched, and there's a global consensus in the medical world.
Okay. I mean, you make it sound like, there's not a lot of questions here, but still, a lot of people in the medical community are questioning the dangers of this. And let me turn to Devon, because, yeah, it's not about just the effect potentially on the climbers themselves. It's, of course, how it affects the mountaineering community in Nepal. I mean, we've seen commercialization of climbing Mount Everest, bring about drastic changes on the mountain, the environment, the garbage, the bottlenecks at the summit. So what do you think of this kind of latest step in using this performance enhancing gas for climbers to get up in 4 days instead of 4 weeks?
There are some who actually are in favor of use of this new technology, advanced technologies, xenon gas and hypoxic tint, but there are some, especially government officials and government authorities, which are against the idea of rapid ascent of Mount Everest because they think it as a commercial viability. Uh, it's impacting economic possibility, potentiality of the mountain expedition business because as if you look at the uh, figures, Mount Everest alone collected $5 million as royalty this season only. So government thinks that if we allow some climbers to speed up their climbs, there will be significant reductions and stay of these climbers, which is and besides that, a lot of one climber and a rough estimate, one climber employs around 20 Sherpas, 20 porters altogether. So government still, actually Nepal government was caught off guard, but by the speed climb, but they are still considering, actually in their term, they are collecting, gathering informations and inquiries is being conducted,
Okay.
how to go about it.
Devon, let me
So,
ask you personally, what do
mhm.
you want to see the government do to better regulate what's happening on Mount Everest? The number of climbers, the treatment of the mountain, the conduct of the commercial enterprises that are there. What do you want to see the government do?
Government role is facilitations basically, but which it is not doing at all. And a government trying to come up with different kind of regulations that will either make expeditions difficult or it complicates things and tries to squeeze, these climbers and expedition operator all the times. And there has been an increase, sharp rise in the number of Everest hopeful, but government has not planned or drafted any kinds of regulations to facilitate the climb and reduce the risk of traffic jams at death zones, which happened earlier. So I personally think that government should come up with other national policies. Like
Okay.
they have come up with one, and they have drafted a bill also, which is
Okay.
stable in the parliament, which makes it mandatory for every Everest hopeful to climb at least 7,000-meter peak before attempting Everest, which
Okay.
is good. But unfortunately, some of the expedition operator themselves are against the provisions. They think that it will, you know, mm,
Yeah.
it will discourage foreign clients.
Well,
So
let me quickly ask Lucas about that because Lucas, I mean, yes, it is in your interest to make climbing easier for your potential clients because it will help your business, but it's also not in your interest to really increase the commerciality of venturing up Everest because it will. It, as I was saying, it doesn't just put the mountain itself at risk and the ecology of it and the environment. It also just makes it less appealing for your clients to sit at the top for an additional hour because of bottlenecks there and have to see the garbage, have to see, countless people going up at the same time when they want to be doing something unique and special. So how are you going to try and find the balance going forward?
That's a good question. So one thing that I have to emphasize here is that with shorter expeditions, we hire more local staff than with longer expeditions. We need more support staff. Uh, the climbers that climbed on a short schedule pay the same permit fee and hire more support staff. So the effect on the overall revenue is if there's an effect, it would be a positive effect. It would grow and not decrease. That is point number one. Point number two is that we do have problems on Everest, especially on the Nepali side. One is garbage, and the other one is too many people die on Mount Everest. This year was under average with only 5 people dying up there. The last 2 years we had over average with 15 and 17 people dying on Mount Everest. That is too much. So if we have a new strategy of climbing, maybe a new technology, maybe new scientific and medical knowledge to reduce these two problems, the main problems on Everest, garbage and fatalities, how can someone be against it? So Xenon protects the body. It helps to reduce fatalities on Mount Everest. People don't die on Mount Everest just because it's so dangerous up there, or because it's climate change, or because they just fall down the mountain. People die up there because they run out of oxygen, because they are caught in a traffic jam and run out of oxygen. This is the main reason up there. And the main reason for garbage is because, and especially human waste in base camp and on the mountain, is because people spend too much time there. They use too many resources. Too many Sherpas are needed to carry resources up the mountain, oxygen cylinders, food, gas, kitchen stuff. If we reduce the time that people spend on the mountain in base camp, it has a positive environmental impact.
Sure, but Lucas, let's be honest. I mean, if you're reducing the time that people spend on there, the government can see it as an opportunity to issue more permits because they'll want the season to be stretched out. And ultimately, the same number of people will be going up there, in fact, more effectively, and making the same amount of mess, creating the same bottlenecks. You have to be a bit honest about how the government is going to see an opportunity in this for Nepal as well to make some more money.
That's not what I hear from the Nepali government. They see it as a threat to their industry. They see that this could affect the Nepali tourism industry in a negative way, that we hire less people, that we, that people stay less time in the country. And I don't think this is the case. The window for the summit on Mount Everest in the season is so short that you can't manage way more people. And apart from that, and I always said this in every interview, this is a 7-day expedition is not the future of climbing Mount Everest. It was a, let's call it a project to get a global attention to show how the future of climbing safe in this altitude could look like. Same happened when 100 years ago, when the first British climbers started to use oxygen cylinders to make the climb, the stay up there in this extreme altitude safer, because without artificial oxygen, you die up there. And the same will happen.
But we know that, but I mean, here's the argument that a lot of the Sherpas are making is that, well, first of all, they really believe there needs to be a code of ethics that's kind of based on, this is not about ticking a box and summiting to say that you summited. It's much more of an experience than that, and you have to stay. You have to do the time. You have to do the hard work. I mean, there are even arguments that say if you need that much of an oxygen supplement, you also shouldn't be going up there. That this is about the people that can do it, appreciate the experience, have the time for it, and when you give more of these, what WADA calls performance-enhancing drugs, basically, you're just giving more people, and elite people that can afford it, the opportunity to destroy what should be the experience for the ones who really deserve to do it.
Okay, then in this case, we have to exclude oxygen as well. And that would mean that only people, so we are back at the claim.
You don't have to go to another extreme. I mean, you can find something in between.
No, I think xenon and oxygen is exactly the same. If you take oxygen from climbing Mount Everest, only 1% of all potential climbers would still go there, because this is the number of people that go, that has the intention to climb without oxygen. if we do not allow oxygen and other enhancing supplements, oxygen is nothing else than xenon. It is also on the doping list. So if we say no oxygen and no xenon and no diamox and no whatever, then we will see a drastic decrease in numbers, which can be good. Some people like that. I don't think that the Nepalese government and tourism industry likes it if it's only $200,000 revenue instead of $5 million revenue with Everest permits. And the other thing is we will see fatalities skyrocketing because people who die on Everest are the ones trying to climb without oxygen, without any medical protection because of this extreme environment.
Okay.
That's why they die in this
Let
mountain.
me ask Devon if you agree with Lucas, or do you just see this as a slippery slope that's going to bring about the demise of Mount Everest itself eventually?
I mostly agree with Lucas because this is a new technology and it's inevitable. It was coming. Like my father used to trek 10 days to come to Kathmandu from my village, whereas now I travel the distance for about 14 hours, or if I uh, even charter a helicopter, I can reach there in 40 minutes. So whether we like or not, every adventure seekers or every thrill seekers will try some kind of ways, to make records or just for the thrill of it. So it was unavoidable. It was inevitable. But the government has to step forward and come up with some solutions. The Some kind of regulations like xenon or um, hypoxic tint. I know one client this year also couldn't go further than Camp 2, who actually spent hundreds of hours in hypoxic tent and others exercise, which I mean to say that whether somebody uses xenon gas or stays hours and hours in hypoxic tents, months maybe, it's ultimately they have to climb the mountain. They have to pass through the Kumbu ice falls and
Yeah.
go higher up. So it takes ultimately how your physical ability as well as mental ability. So
Okay.
it doesn't make that much difference if government tries to facilitate these climbs or come up with some kinds of
How
solutions.
confident
Yeah.
are you, Devon, that the government will do that?
Uh, Now Nepal has most of the expeditions operators. Most of the clients are, guided by Nepali expedition operators now. So there are more than 40 of them. So they are slightly divided at this moment, but government is trying to negotiate. Government is trying to, reach out to all of them and discuss the way out, because this time it was really, really this uh, rapid ascent actually shocked the government itself. So I'm not very much hopeful, but more more hopeful than I was before.
Okay, well, that's good. And Lucas, let's finish with this. I mean, one potential, I guess, upside could be, the fact that we've been hearing that actually base camp may need to be moved effectively because the glacier beneath it there's been too much pressure on it with the hundreds of climbers that have been there. And if it does have to be moved, it would have to go, as from what I'm understanding, further down the mountain, adding more time onto the hike. So could that perhaps balance out if you have some, use of xenon gas, hypoxic tents, whatever performance enhancing advantages you can find, with the fact that they'll have to move base camp to save the mountain or the glacier underneath it. Could that maybe have a balance in the end whereby the mountain will have to take less wear and tear, even with more climbers potentially coming on?
Actually, no, I don't see that happening. I see that we can see climate change effects already now. We can see the glacier where we have base camp situated about 70 meters lower than the first base camp, I don't know, 75 or 80 years ago. But that has nothing to do with the people that spent 5 or 6 weeks on the glacier. I don't think moving base camp will change anything on the situation of the Khumbu Glacier. This is the climate, and it's not in our power of the climbers. We can do with human waste in base camp, so that means spending less time there would help the environment, would help the glacier, because at the moment all the human waste is just dumped right beside the glacier.
Right. Okay, Lucas. Yeah.
And one important thing is, please, let me say this. If we talk about cheating on Everest and facilitate the climb on Everest and talking about climbing ethics on Everest, then let's talk about helicopter shuttles to and from Camp 2.
I wish we had time. Yeah, I was going to say that because that's the next step as well. And maybe we'll follow up with that as soon as we see that developing. But for right now, we're completely out of time, though, unfortunately, for this edition of the Newsmakers. So I'd like to thank both of you so much for being with me, our viewers for joining us as well. Remember, you can follow us on social media, and do be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Sankey. We'll see you next time.